All right, welcome to sales. We're going to go through in this lesson some thoughts that you should take in terms of your perspective, your worldview of sales, if you will, as a kind of foundation about the purpose that you're taking into the sales. So what I mean by that really is your mindset, right? So not just the mindset of how should I talk to this person, or not just the mindset of, should I be bold, but what is your purpose, when you're going in to the sales discussion. So what we're going to get to in this lesson is the idea that you are there to help them be more successful, right? Because sales agents who come with the mindset that I need to sell a product so I can make money, even though that is what they're all doing, they're all in sales, there is a vast difference in your demeanor, in the way you conversate, the way you come across to people, if your sole intention is, I have to sell something, as opposed to someone who comes to the discussion that says, I want to make this other company better, and this person more successful through what I have, right? Particularly in business-to-business sales. Now, if you're just selling something retail, that's a little different. So when I'm thinking of sales here, I'm thinking of, maybe larger kind of sales. So not just selling a one-time item to somebody who comes into your store, just trying to, get them to do something. Although you can apply some of these lessons to that. The bigger picture is kind of business-to-business things, or perhaps a larger sale where you're going to sit down with a company or an organization of some kind and help them to see why your company is the right choice, why your products are the right choice for them, that kind of thing. And so in those settings, there's a little more room for conversation, there's a little more room for creative thought. If somebody's just coming in to buy a cell phone, that's a different style of sales than sitting down with a company and trying to create a plan of how your business can help meet their needs, right? So there's different kinds of sales. So what we're thinking of here for this discussion is more of that conversational style. I'm going to walk you through this conversation about our product and that kind of stuff. And so while some of these lessons can be applied really to any form of sale, I think this is best applied, like I said, to either business to business or some kind of setting where you're able to interact a little more freely with the person. Maybe you can sit down at a desk and have a nice conversation with them, and it's not that really quick, all right, I need to be out of the store in 15 minutes kind of thing, right? Okay, so when thinking about the process, right, of what you're trying to lead them into, with this backdrop of, my main focus here is how do I make them successful? Because you come across different if you're so focused on your own sales. People will feel that. They will pick up on the fact that you're not really interested in them and their business. You're interested in the commission and the sales that you're about to get. And that will push a lot of people away. But if you come into it with the mindset that if I help these people, they'll buy whatever is necessary. So I don't have to push the sale as much as I have to push my connection with them and my ability to help them and my willingness to help them in a genuine way, right? And sometimes that means, saying, hey, maybe this isn't the right solution for you or something. You've got to be willing to do that. I think a salesperson that is unwilling to walk away from a sale if what you're selling doesn't fit them is going to have a hard time. There's always those people that are so interested in the money that they will push something on somebody even if it doesn't really fit their need. And so you've got to be able to walk away if it just genuinely doesn't fit. It doesn't mean that you don't give a good effort if it's, you don't want to be so easy to walk away that you're not a good salesperson and that you don't have that boldness and that willingness to be assertive. But at the same time, you don't want to be so pushy that if it's just not the right fit, you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, so to speak, right? Okay, so a couple of things as far as the process, right, of doing this well, there are 3 C's that I would give you, right? So the first one is connect. Right? First one is connect. So a lot of times in your sales, say if you're at somebody's office and you're having a conversation with them, you don't want to skip past this and be so quick to go into your pitch that you don't take a moment to connect with them a little bit, little light conversation perhaps, maybe ask them about something, you see something in the office or whatever that you find interesting. Have a little casual conversation, right? Just because, if you don't know each other, there is, that initial awkwardness of social, interaction there that you can push a lot of that awkwardness down with some light conversation, right? And allows people to put their guard down a little bit, allows them to be a little more comfortable in the conversation, right? So connect is a huge first one, right? And then also in the connecting, I think you're trying to find out about them. So, there's that initial, light conversation, right? I'll just write that up here, light conversation. But I think connecting must be more than that to be genuinely effective. To be genuinely effective, it's going to have to then move into perhaps some questions about their business or their need. About their business or their need, right? What is their vision, right? What are they trying to accomplish as a company? And so those are some really important questions. So you've got your initial kind of social light conversation just to kind of break the ice a little bit. And then you want to move that into some questions maybe. Ask them how they see their company in the next 5 years, or what is their vision? What are they working on that's new? Those types of things to get them talking about their company and about their vision. It does 2 things. One, it tells them that you care about what they're doing and you want to know about it, that you don't have a preconceived idea that you want to help fit with what they're actually doing, right? And then the second thing is that it allows you to analyze what they're saying and really create something that's going to connect with them better, right? So if you sell 10 or 12 different options with whatever it is that you're selling, as you're listening to them talk about their vision, maybe certain things stand out to you that you say, wow, this would really fit with that because they're trying to accomplish whatever, and I know I've got something here that's going to really match with that. And so you're not wasting your time in the presentation on stuff that they don't need. Now you've got a better idea about them. So it begins with asking them to open up, and then you tend to put people at ease a lot whenever they start to talk about themselves. They feel heard. They feel like they're speaking to someone now who understands their vision. That's one of the big things about a lot of times with salespeople is if they don't understand the vision of the company, there's still this wall between them and the customer, right? And so in the connecting phase, you're really trying to do 2 things. You're trying to just bridge that initial awkwardness, and then you're really trying to know their company well so that you can sell them something that is needed, right? And that you can be an asset to them, because now that you know what they're trying to do, you can package something together that's going to best serve their needs, right? Which leads us to the second one, which is convince. Convince. So after you have connected with them, you need to think about how am I going to convince them, right? So whenever you're giving your presentation, right, after you've heard about them, then there needs to be some convincing, right? That they have to, this is where you're going to bring up some of the ideas about why your company is better perhaps than other companies. You want to be able to show them why your product fits with their vision, right? So this is where your sales presentation kind of comes in. So the first part is really just some light conversation and really getting them to open up. The second part is where you tend to guide the speaking a little more. right? So in the connecting, it's more listening and kind of guiding the questions a little bit. In the convincing, that's where you kind of step in and begin to talk to them about your solution, right? And so you want to be well prepared. You want to have your facts in order. You want to know everything about your product. You want to be able to show them specifically how your product meets their need, or how your product fulfills their vision, how your product's going to help make them a more successful company. Because at the end of the day, they're not interested in giving you money. They're interested in making money for themselves, right? And so you have to be able to show them how your product is a good investment for them, right? You have to show them that how what you're going to do for them is going to produce more for them, because they're in business. They want to make money. That's the reason they're putting in all this effort, is to produce money. And so you have to be able to convince them, right, that yours is a good deal. And so this kind of goes back in this section of the convincing part, is a lot of the things that we talked about in last week's lesson, about talking to them about the return on the investment, and and why you're a superior company to others and things like that. All of that kind of fits in the convincing part, right? And then the third kind of stage, if you will, is collaboration. And so what that means is you begin to not just talk to them about the product that you have, but maybe you start talking about future ideas and things that you could help. And so here I would draw a distinction between two different types of conversations that you can have. Because the idea here is that you're interacting. This doesn't happen. This kind of sales doesn't happen in a quick 5-minute thing where somebody comes in, they've got $20, they need to buy a product off the shelf, and it's just a quick exchange. This is a more detailed form of sales that may take a day or a few weeks to accomplish, right? And so in the collaboration stage, and some of this will work its way through the other sections, but there are two main types of conversations that you're going to have. The first one is insight interaction. So interaction insight is what we'll call that. And this tends to kind of also fall in the connect stage, where the interaction insight basically means through the interaction you're discovering how your product and solution integrates with what they're trying to do, right? So that's interaction insight, that through the interactions you're getting insight, right? You're understanding through your interactions, through your conversations, through your questions. You have a purpose behind it. You want to understand how your product can best serve them, and how your product can best take their company to new levels. And so that's your interaction insight. You are learning things, right, through your interaction. The second part of the conversation is what we call opportunity insight. So again, it's still insight. You're trying to learn something about them, but it's opportunity, and that tends to be more in this third section of the collaboration. Right? So in the beginning, you're trying to learn what they're doing so that you can figure out how to best help them with what they're doing. But also in your conversation, there are probably, particularly depending on what kind of business and ideas that you're running, but in many businesses, you have certain things that the company maybe never even thought of, right? And you offer maybe some solutions that had never even crossed their mind, right? So say if you were doing printing and you're trying to sell them a printer, well, maybe your company on more expensive projects that would eat up a lot of ink, that would be more expensive for them, maybe your company has also some in-house publishing that they get a discount on since they purchased the printer from you. And so if it's going to be a really expensive job that's going to eat up a lot of their ink, and it's not just day-to-day stuff, then because they bought your printer, maybe they get a discount on that. But they're not even thinking about that. They don't even know that you have that. They're just thinking about the printer, right? And so in your initial conversations, you're figuring out which printer is right for them, and you're figuring out how you can best help them. But then in this collaboration stage where you're trying to help them and trying to help them see what else is out there that they hadn't thought of, maybe you begin to then start talking to them about this other opportunity. Well, our company also does this, and you didn't bring us in here for that. You just brought us in for the printer, but it's something else that we do that we think is good. And that's an opportunity that they weren't even thinking of. So that's why we call this opportunity insight, that there are interaction insights where you're figuring out through the interaction how you can best serve what they're trying to do. But then at the same time, maybe there's some opportunities that they hadn't even thought of, right? Or, maybe in a different product line, maybe you sell a totally different kind of product that they weren't even thinking of, that if they had it would cause their business to be even more successful, right? And so you've been talking with them about how product A is going to fit what they're trying to do. But then you've got a product B over here that might allow them to create a whole new product line, and it hadn't even crossed their mind. And so you come in and you show them that, and you've done two different things. You've interacted and figured out how you can meet their current need, but you're also aware that you have some other stuff that could create opportunities for them that they hadn't even thought of. And so this is where collaboration comes in, that you're not just trying to meet a need, you're trying to be an asset to them, right? That if you can come in and show them how your product or service can make them more successful, can help them to be more efficient, help them to have greater returns, whatever it is, then you become an asset that they want to hold on to because you're providing value, as opposed to the salesperson that they try and avoid next time you try and schedule a meeting. Because if all you're doing is the high pressure thing, then a lot of times, next time you try and schedule a meeting with them, they may brush you off, because a lot of people don't like that. It's particularly if they don't have to have your service. If it's more of an option and they got 2 or 3 options that are about the same, most of the time people will steer away from the personality that they don't like. So anyways, this is a progression that you want to have in your mind when you're thinking about what are you trying to accomplish in the conversation, right? So you begin with connecting well, right? And then once you've connected well and you've kind of found out, this is where your interaction insight is, you're trying to figure out what they're currently trying to do and create opportunities to help that become successful. You're convincing them about your product, but before you leave, you also want to become an even greater asset by maybe helping them to see how other things that you do can spark new opportunities for them, right? You want to be an expert in your field so that when you come in, you're adding value to them. You're talking to them about what's possible. You're helping to paint a picture for them that maybe they didn't see, right? Because they're in this to be successful, and if you come with a good opportunity, something that could really help them, several people that you interact with will take you up on it, right? And they will allow you those extra sales because that new opportunity seems good. Now, not everyone will, right? But that's definitely what you're after, is to not only meet their need, right, but also to be such an asset that you can help them think. And so you want to think of yourself as helping them to maximize their company, right? In whatever way that your product does it, you have something that if they embraced it, could strengthen their company. And so when you come in, you are fully convinced yourself, right, that this can help them. And so you're creating an atmosphere where it's conversational. You're coming across as an expert in your field, right? And your greatest concern that they're going to feel through all of your questions and through everything that you're saying to them, your greatest concern is how can you help them be successful? And if you genuinely come in with that mindset, then you'll find a lot greater success, because everybody wants somebody to be on their team who's trying to help them and make them successful, right? Where people put up the barriers is if they feel like you don't really care about them, you're just trying to make money off of them, then they put up walls, right? But if you can genuinely enter this engagement here, this conversation with these people, with a heart that truly wants to see them be successful, because you know if they're successful with your product, then the sales will follow, right? So that's where your mindset should be, is to know that there is a progression, right? If you try and jump right to collaboration and start trying to talk to them about all these other opportunities, you'll kill it, right? Why? Number one, you haven't connected well, so you don't know them. You'll be throwing out opportunities that don't fit well with them, right? And because you don't know them, maybe their trust level with you is not high right now because you haven't taken the time to hear them out and to connect with them. And so you start trying to throw out all these other opportunities, it's going to feel like you've totally missed what they're trying to do. So that's why generally the collaboration, the extra things that you're trying to add to their company, generally comes after you've connected well and you've convinced them about their core need, the reason you're there to begin with, right? So you need to make sure that is taken care of before you start talking about other opportunities. Because if you go straight to the other opportunities without addressing the core thing that they feel like they need from you, it will feel like you're not even aware of what they genuinely need, because you skipped right over what they consider to be the most important part. But if you address that first, then before you leave, you can begin to start addressing other ways that you could help them to be successful, right? So think of this in terms of its order and its progression, right? That you are connecting with them, you are convincing them not only about the product, but you're convincing them about yourself, that you are a professional in this and that they can trust what you're saying and that you know this inside out. And if there's anybody that they're going to talk to be able to help them understand this product and this service and this solution, it's you. So you're selling yourself too in some ways, that you're convincing them that they can trust your advice. You're convincing them that your product is going to have a benefit for them and all of that stuff. And then at that point, then you've gone pretty good with them in terms of that initial sale, right? But then you really put it over the top by stirring their thought processes, right? By planting seeds of other opportunities. And so this is a progression, right? You wouldn't want to connect at the end, right? Because if you're trying to do all these other things and then want to, at the end, then get a little more personal and connect with them, then you spent the entire conversation at a distance emotionally, right? And so there's a purpose. And if you haven't convinced them, right, and you're trying to give them all these other ideas and they're not convinced, they're not going to receive it, right? And so you have to build the relationship. You have to convince them about your personal ability, the ability of your product, what the product's going to do for them. And then from that point forward, you've built a pretty good bond. And then maybe they're open to hear your suggestions about other ways that their company could become more and more successful, okay? So think through these things. Have this as your mindset, that you are trying to, you get to control the direction of the conversation, right? And that this is what your goals are through each stage of the conversation, is you're trying to move it in this direction, okay?